Hey guys, welcome to the channel. You're in memory lane, and this is where we talk about childhood memories. Memories as they were going back into the early 60s when I was born, and into the 70s and a little bit of the 80s. But generally speaking, 60s and 70s. And this is where we talk about all kind of stuff. At least I talk about all kind of stuff as it relates to my childhood, and all the good times and the not so good times and the ups and the downs. And today I want to talk about my encounter with rats. Yep. All right, so I grew up in humble beginnings. I'm from really humble beginnings, like almost a life of poverty to a certain extent. Growing up in rural Jamaica, where I originated from, life was not easy. Yes, so I can recall growing up in this little cottage or bungalow or whatever you want to call it. It was a little two-bedroom house that my grandparents or my grandfather built, and that was where my mom and my aunt and I think an uncle, they grew up there before they left, but myself and my younger brother and two other cousins as grandchildren, that's where we grew up, right? And this little house, it served its purpose. I mean, we had somewhere to sleep at night, somewhere to lay our heads. But I can tell you, it had its challenges. It had its faults. Faults in the sense that, it ran into disrepair, especially after my granddad died. He died when I was around 10. And so the home kind of started to depreciate. Even as a child, I could see that. We're growing up in this little bungalow, this little old house. And of course, like I said, it's depreciating. The roof would leak when it rains, and sometimes you're in your bed at night and water is, it's raining outside and water is dripping on you in the bed. Tip. Sometimes you have to be putting containers on the floor to catch water, Sometimes you have to get up in the night to move the bed or shift to another part of the bed because you're getting wet because it's raining outside, and what are you going to do? So that was a challenge in itself. But there were other things. I mean, growing up in a tropical country like Jamaica, right? There are a lot of animals and, animals that won't actually kill you, right? But there are, a lot of little rodents here and there. And one of those rodents that, pesky little rodents were rats and mice. Now, because the house, was in a state of disrepair, and it has been, depreciating for so long, we never had the resources to fix stuff. My grandmother never had it. We were kids. She was like the sole breadwinner of the house, and so things just kind of get out of hand. So the bottom of the door would start rotting away because of water damage. At nights we had to gather up some pieces of old cloth to push against it, to kind of block the cold air from coming inside the house. So that's how it was. The roof, like I said, the roof would leak, holes would develop at certain areas, and then that caused rodents, or these rats, these giant rats, to get inside the house at night. So man, I can tell you, sometimes I'm in my bed, sleeping, man, and I can recall that there was a table in my bedroom. My grandmother would bring in the pun pan from outside, you know, and leave it, put it on the table, and other stuff on the table that we can't keep outside because the kitchen never had a door. If you left that outside, then it would be exposed to other animals searching for food, like, stray dogs and cats. Yeah. But, she would bring all those stuff in the house, and the rats would find, and the mice, they would find ways of getting into the house. And they're also searching for food. So right in the middle of my bedroom, on the table over there against the wall, and my grandmother would have, talk about the pun pan. If you're from Jamaica, you know what the pun pan is. It's a container, it's a general purpose container. We use it for everything, right? And she would have stuff inside of it, some of it food stuff. We tried to cover it up as best as we could, but the rats would still be running through the house. You see one or two over the floor, and they're climbing up on the table, and I'm lying in my bed and I'm looking at this big rat on top of the table. Sometimes I would flick the blanket or my cover and just to scare him off. But as soon as they fell asleep, they would come back, and it just bring back those, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, those times were really scary for me as a kid. Who wants to have rats running around in their bedroom? Eh? And the mice, the little mice, they were another story. But there was a time that when we were able to buy traps, rat traps, the one that you would put the bait on, and as soon as it start trying to get the bait off it, it's a spring-loaded trap, so the thing would just come over and just catch them by the neck, press them against the base of the trap. Man, we caught some rats, man. You should see the testicles of these rats. These were some giant rats, man, I'm telling you. Yeah? I mean, they were so big, they sometimes, they were so big, we had to make sure we tie a piece of string onto the trap, or else, they would pull the trap away. I mean, they couldn't get out of it, but they would pull it away. Yeah. So I can recall as a kid, man, in the morning we would, we would set the trap overnight, and maybe put a piece of corn on as bait, or a grain of corn, or a piece of dumpling or something. And in the night you hear push, yeah, and then you hear all this squeaking in your bedroom. Yeah, somebody got caught. So in the morning, if it's, most times, the mice would die from the trap, but some of these big rats, man, they wake up in the morning, and they're not dead. They're not dead. You have to finish, knock them out. Don't think about cruelty to animals right now, okay? Those were different times. Those times were survival times, right? So back in those days, man, what? Rats were like pests, man. Pests. You don't want those things in your house, You don't want those things in your house at all. Yeah, so that I can recall in some mornings we would pick up the trap and hold it up, and you see this big rat dangling. And sometimes if it's dead, we would release it from the trap and we would trap from the trap, and we would hold it by the tail, dangling, And of course there were stray cats. I shouldn't say stray cats. People had cats. They were domesticated, but they would roam. Sometimes we would just feed these rats to them, or we would just bury it somewhere. Yeah, but man, that was how life was like back then. The rats were right in our faces, right up in our faces, man. Yeah. So what was it like for you? I mean, this might sound fascinating that people had to live in these kind of conditions among rodents and stuff. This may be foreign to you. This might be something that you have never experienced, but I experienced that as a kid. Yeah, because my house was condition wasn't good. Yeah. So what was it like for you? I mean, like I said, this might be foreign for you. Maybe this is something that you have experienced. Maybe this kind of resonate with you. Maybe this is something that you can identify with, if you understand what I'm saying. What was it like for you growing up as a kid? What was your living conditions like? Did you have to deal with those kind of rodents and that kind of stuff? Did did you have to compete with these little pests, for your food? Tell me about it. Leave some comments in the comments below, and yeah, let's talk about it. All right. If this is a channel that you like, talking about all these childhood memories and stuff, some of them do actually cause you to cringe, but that's just the reality. This is not a watered down channel. I'm not diluting anything. I'm giving you as is. Right. So if you like this kind of content, hit the subscribe button. As a matter of fact, hit that notification bell so you can be made aware of every time there's a new video. And if you like this specific video, just hit the like button. Okay? So until we talk again, my name is Source of Food, and you're in memory lane. Take care of yourself. Okay? Take care.